Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my Daily Dose with Tim. Today is season 3, episode 44. Oh my goodness, we're almost 9 weeks in now, and it's really interesting because I understand that not everybody gets to watch every single episode live or even being able to catch up on a daily basis. And so it's really funny because after yesterday's episode, I actually got a few messages reminding me that I was going to show you this one thing after the lease option episodes. And so it's kind of funny. It's like you guys don't want to let me go and you don't want to let the topic go, really, more so. And I can really speak to lease options for hours and days and if not weeks and months, because really truly once you understand the core of what lease options really are, it is one of the most fun creative financing ways for real estate investors or for really entrepreneurs of all kinds. And so on that note, I'm going to bring your attention back to the bonus portion that I promised and may have forgotten. And again, thank you so much, because I really did not anticipate that lease options, the topic was going to last beyond 10 episodes, and we went 12 already, and clearly we're going to take a couple more episodes. However, I think this is going to be very, very important and really fun for a lot of us, simply because of the fact that this particular portion of the strategy was really the one that opened up my mind, because I think a lot of you guys probably are in the same situations as I was when I first got started. You're feeling like this is something that you can do, you want to learn more, and it's hopeful. At the same time, the day-to-day, your schedules, your routines, your work, your jobs, your kids, your activities, your other commitments, and your relationships might feel like, oh my goodness, how am I ever going to make the time? And so this is why I'm such a huge proponent of people getting into lease options as one of their earliest strategies. Why? Because I understand that there are investors out there, they think that doing the income properties, that sounds better because by definition, there's no expiration date, meaning you don't have to let go of your properties. And over time, that is what we want to build. While I do agree with that, remember, there is no right or wrong here. It has everything to do with how you complete your wheel of wealth, okay? Your earned income buckets, your passive income bucket, and your portfolio income bucket. So I really want to encourage all of you guys to go back and rewatch some of these episodes. And especially if this is your first episode on my Daily Dose with Tim, make sure you go back to at least the beginning of this season, if not the previous seasons as well, because this season definitely has completely blown out of proportion in a very good way, because we're at episode 44 now, and honestly, I've only really scratched the surface. As you know, and as you can see now, there is so much more to learn. And this is why I always say that all the curriculums that we have set out and planned out at Trust Your Talent, it's based on what I call an immersive learning experience, or immersion. A lot of you guys are sending your children to French immersion in Canada, Spanish immersion, Mandarin immersion, German immersion. Why do you want to do that for your kids? And yet, when we're learning about investing, we don't think about doing that for ourselves. We look for the quick fixes, to do a weekend course, to do a 5-day challenge, to do a quick summit. Those things, they might inspire you for a little bit. They might motivate you for a little bit. However, one of the things that I've also learned is that you got to keep yourself in that environment, okay? And so coming back here now, one strategy, and the cat's already out of the bag. It is about lease options, because some of you actually reminded me. And in this particular case, it's not just one person. It's actually quite a number of you that basically went, hang on a second, Tim. I noticed that I was watching the previous episodes and I know you're done with it, but where is that? So let's get into this now, shall we? Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to be sharing my screen once again. And here we go. I usually call it a bonus calculations, and I do share this at our boot camps and workshop as well, because as I mentioned, this was one of the biggest things that really opened up my mind, and it really fit my personal goal. Remember, it always starts with the goal, and we discussed this during one of the earlier episodes already. So if you really want the dots to connect again, or just to connect period, make sure you go back to the earlier episodes. So right here, full-time, part-time investors building a lease options business is really what I want to focus on. And who is this strategy for, or who should be paying extra attention, not just attention, extra attention to how you're going to leverage this particular strategy to help you transition from a part-time to a full-time investor. Okay, or if you want to build a lease option portfolio like I did to help you set up the foundation for both cash flow and equity. Okay, and then I also want to get out of the rat race ASAP. I mean, that was really me, because as much as I mentioned, I enjoyed my work, my job before, my just over broke, there was just way too much backstabbing and a lot of office politics that was really weighing me down more than the workload itself, because I really enjoyed working with people, supporting people. And this is why today now, I think I've sort of distilled it down to one sentence. I'm the happiest when I'm helping people make money. And that's literally what I was doing at my job as well. And so the other one is, last but not least, I want to retire early. I want to retire well. And as you know, my personal story is that I managed to retire myself at 30. And again, my definition of retirement is that you don't ever have to work for money again, and you have the time to do whatever you want. While I am not a gardener, which is what I think a lot of people link retirement with, that's not my job. That's my partner's job, usually in the house. However, there we go. It doesn't matter if you check off one or all of the bullet points on this list. The point is, it all comes down to what the strategy will do that will contribute to your financial goal, and what does that goal look like. And if you have other suggestions after this particular bonus session, then you let me know. We're probably going to take about 2 episodes to cover everything, just so that nobody's actually missing out on anything and the dots connect properly. Because again, this was the one portion that really made me go, wow, I can really do this and I can make this work. Yes, I will learn about every single strategy. However, when I choose to focus, and we always say focus actually is an acronym as well. It stands for follow one course until successful. Okay, follow one course until successful. That stands for focus. Because the thing about real estate, as I keep reminding everybody and keep sharing it with everybody, simply because I have to keep reminding myself too every single day, is the fact that it is such a beautiful asset class. And by beautiful, I mean literally. It can be emotionally pleasing, it can be visually pleasing, it feeds your ego, it feeds hopefully your bank account. However, that's the thing. When most people are feeding their ego, chances are they are not feeding their bank accounts anymore. I will share this with you though. Once you build a solid foundation, it will start to check off both boxes. It's just that most people don't want to wait. I remember when I first got started, I was dead scared of going to distressed properties. I may have mentioned this already, simply because of the fact that I am not a handy kind of person. I can change the occasional light bulbs and maybe shut off the power panel when I have to maybe rewire a switch. That's probably the extent of my handyman-ness, okay? So again, everybody's a little different, and this is why I want to share this with you. And so many of you are going, no, I don't want to let go of properties. I want to keep building my portfolio. However, remember, I want to really dig down, especially if you and I are going to be working together in a mentor-mentee relationship. I will help you dig down on that thought process. Because remember, we buy and sell so that we can create capital, so that we can buy and hold to create the long-term wealth, all the while creating income streams. Okay. And again, some people think that, oh my goodness, going through the screening process for tenant buyers is really, really difficult. Let me share this with you. Even with long-term rentals, okay, you're still having to screen your tenants. And many a times when you don't screen tenants properly, the cost, the expenses, and the opportunity cost, more importantly, over time are actually much, much higher. And this is why there are a lot of uneducated property collectors out there that have been buying properties for the last 20, 30 years. They are sharing with people that cash flow doesn't work because when you have one bad tenant, it's going to erode and eat away all the cash flows you've accumulated for 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, depending on how long they've been there, and maybe even the equity that you've created through mortgage pay down as well as market lift. I'm going to share this with you. While I don't disagree with that, I think it's completely selfish and pessimistic, and it lacks financial education and financial intelligence on so many levels, simply because the fact that they did not have a good mix or a good blend of strategies while they're building their portfolio. And if you recall, when I was sharing the distressed properties as well as property management episodes, I personally am also going through dealing with the aftermath of having bad tenants. Right now, we're seeing it at nearly $60,000 worth of damage after a 2.5-year tenancy. So that does happen, okay? And yes, in every sense of the word, the cash flow was completely eroded, even though it was this property was cash flowing anywhere between $400 to $500 on a monthly basis. 2.5 years, you can do the math. That is nowhere near the amount of damage that they have caused the property, and including the mortgage pay down and including the market lift. At the same time, though, not worried about it. Why? Because educated investors are, once again, performance-based investors. It was cash flowing the entire time, okay? And right now, we are just having to deal with it. But we also have other properties, other strategies, other income sources within the business. And this is why I always ask people, when this concept does not quite stick yet, think about Starbucks. Think about a grocery chain. Think about a grocery store in your neighborhood. Do you think every single Starbucks, for example, is profitable? Again, we've all learned during COVID lockdowns, the answer is no. Otherwise, globally, they would not have had to close so many different Starbucks locations, okay? However, at the same time, when you think about it, as a business, are they still around? Yes. What does that mean? Because as a business, they are still sustainable, meaning overall, they are still performing, okay? And so that's the most important thing right here. And so right here, coming back to lease options, most importantly, remember, if you're not making a difference in other people's lives, you should not be in business at all. Quote Sir Richard Branson. I want to profit, and I can profit through helping others succeed. So let's start. As a part-time investor, again, this is a very, very solid 3 to 5 year plan on just one single strategy. You might get a little bored, maybe a year in, 2 years in, and you want to start to mix in other strategies. Why? Because you've already got experience and, more importantly, track record in managing one strategy well, effectively, efficiently, leveraging other people's money, institutional or private, okay? And this is a part-time effort kind of thing. And this is why, again, I'm so big on sharing this strategy with everybody, while most people in the industry don't know how to do it, don't want to do it just because of any sort of preconception. Any strategy, any property types have preconceptions and misunderstandings by the uneducated investors, because they went into it with their blindfolds still on, just thinking that it's going to be great. No different than my personal journey. I thought buying a pre-construction condo was the most amazing thing. And I also thought that getting into a syndication on a big scale commercial development was the best thing ever. Turns out neither of them were actually investment decisions. They were all just uneducated financial decisions that I made. And then coming back to here, last point is, we're not asking you to continuously treat it as a day-to-day thing. Remember, it's a part-time effort, okay? So you can make your own hours. You can say, I want to do 3 deals, I want to do 4 deals. The point is, I want to show you a formula. And at this point, I think you hopefully are getting the sense. It's no different than when we went to school, even if it's just grade school, or you have post-secondary education where you got a diploma, you got a degree, or you got into master's or a PhD of any sort. Before you get into anything, there should be a solid curriculum that can paint you a picture in terms of how this is going to work for you financially, not just buying properties, okay? I can never stress enough, because this is where people go blind and where people go wrong and end up hurting themselves. I've seen people at conferences, after conferences, they get sold into projects and they're still losing power and giving away all of their money without really understanding how each strategy and how each property type works. Remember, investing is universal, okay? Investing, once again, based on our definition and my definition, is learning how money works. So if we're learning about investing, we're learning how money works. So investing is how money works. And more importantly, once you learn it, you want the money to work harder and harder for you so that you can slowly work less hard, or at least free your time up to pursue the work that truly bring you joy and meaning, okay? And then coming back here, 4 deals per year consistently. Let's go. First year. So I want to just use this episode to really build a foundation for year 1, and then we're going to wrap it up in the next episode so you can see. However, let's just say that you decided, you know what? For the next 6 months now of 2023, I'm going to buckle down and really get myself properly educated. Remember, momentum and speed are not 2 of the same things. You can have speed. However, we always say, and this is actually not my saying, it's a proverb, I think an African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And this is why, what does that mean by going far? You need a community, you need more strategies and more knowledge than just one single strategy and one property type to support your financial goal. And last but not least, I want to come back here, and you can see now, deal 1, for example, option consideration is $15,000. So assuming you take the next 6 months in 2023 to learn about this, that means you're learning about the strategy, you are surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals, with support, with access to resources, and you're putting most of the puzzle pieces together, and then you're going to execute. Okay, and then you're going to execute. Let's just say that you start at the beginning of 2024. So first deal you're completing in January, because it doesn't just happen overnight. If you look really closely, there's really no such thing as overnight successes. Okay, and so if you remember the example that we did, this particular tenant buyer, not the case study, by the way, the example that we did, if you missed that, make sure you go back to, I believe it was season 3, episode 34. So 10 episodes ago now, we started the deal analysis episodes. So in those episodes, we actually had an option consideration of 50% of it, which was $32,500. In this particular case, just because A, the property value is a little lower. Remember, average purchase price right now is $400. Okay, our average purchase price was a bit higher than that. And so the rent differential, I call it the rent differential. However, really, this is the cash flow. And if you remember from the previous episodes on deal analysis for lease options, you understand how that number comes about. So right now we're going 1095 on a monthly basis, and we have 11 months of cash flow. Why? We completed in January. That means by February 1st that year, you will start to cash flow, because they will move in, they will start paying their monthly payments, and then after all is deducted, your pity payment, you get your monthly cash flow. And that works out to be 11 months of cash flow on deal number 1 or property number 1, and that is $12,045. Deal number 2, 3 months later. Remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. And so option consideration, assuming that it is basically the same cookie cutting type of deal, $15,000, the cash flow remains $1095. These days, anywhere between 600 to 1500. And you already saw that when we were going through the business decisions episodes, as well as the case study episodes as well. So just make sure that you understand this is a formula, and your market conditions and the business decisions that you make as an educated investor will largely dictate that number. Okay. And so at this point, once you put a tenant in, they start paying their monthly payments in April, you have a total of $8,760 for that first year, for 2024 in this particular case. Deal number 3, same option consideration, same cash flow, 5 months accumulated. That works out to be $5,475. And then 3 months later in October, and then you're done for the year. And at this point, you've built up the groundwork. You've built up the support network. You've had your power team. You've got a mentor on your beck and call, basically, to support you on this. You can now take a break, get ready for Christmas, and then starting January, it starts all over again, okay? So total income in year 1 is $88,740, okay? What if we break it down into a monthly basis, looking back? $7,372.50 increase in your monthly income. I really want you to really think about this. This is only 4 deals. This is only 4 deals. And I will venture to say that any average person, and I consider myself an average person. I just had to drive because I had heart attacks. So I just wanted to run a little faster. But I don't think I'm any more special than anybody else. And once again, another reason why I really believe that everything that I'm training is for the everyday people, because I'm the everyday person that learned something different and applied it and made it work. And so I know some of you are going, well, I don't have the income level. I don't have the capacity to do all 4 deals on my own. And that's totally fine. So how about we do this? Assuming that you're leveraging joint venture partnerships, you chop everything in half, or you can do private lending. However you want to approach this, you are giving away 50% of everything that you've worked for, okay? I'm only using 50% right now just because it is the easiest and fastest numbers for us to be on the same page together. You can make your own business decisions, and ultimately it all comes down to how you and your OPM decide how this relationship works or how each deal will work, okay? So if you chop it in half, that means after the first year, you are making an additional $44,370, or once again, on a monthly basis, an additional $3,600 and change. I really want to ask you this. Do you think your financial situation will improve having an additional $3,600 coming your way on a monthly basis? I don't know about you. However, based on my experience globally, showing this model, asking people around, even in really expensive cities where cost of living is really high, everybody will say, yeah, an additional $3,600 would definitely help with the day-to-day. And so that is just year 1. And we've only created an additional $88,000. Remember, the promise here is I'm going to show you how to create an additional $320,000 on an annual basis, part-time effort, just on one strategy. So stay tuned. Make sure you come back for tomorrow's episode 45, and we're going to cover the rest of this entire calculation so that you can start to connect the dots together. Okay, so on that note, I just want to say thank you for sticking with me, and most importantly, for reminding me to share this with you, because I was kind of itching to move on, because some of you are saying, we've been on lease options for a while. I get it. You love it. Can we talk about something else? And here we are. So I'm hoping that by showing you the money, by showing you a plan, for those of you who might be a little going, I'm not sure about the strategy, this will open up your mind and your eyes again too, okay? So enjoy the rest of your day. Live well, everyone. I will see you back here at the next episode.